Paris, the city of love and lights, the heart of France, is one of the world's most famous locations. Aside from the remarkable architecture and hotspots such as the cafes, markets, fashion houses, museums and palaces, there has always been a fascination for dark and morbid attractions, such as the Père Lachaise cemetery and the tragic tale of lovers Pierre Abelard and Eloise, and also the catacombs of Paris, where millions of human remains are laid to rest in the underbelly of the French capital. In 1937, Parisians awoke to a sensational headline in the newspapers, Le Crime de Métro, describing how an Italian woman boarded a train destined for Paris, only to be discovered minutes later, a dagger plunged fatally into her neck. Tonight on Dark Curiosities, Murder on the Métro, the death of Laetitia Toureaux. Laetitia Toureaux was born on the 11th of September 1901 in northwestern Italy. She was an adventurous woman and loved socialising and making money, spending much of her time in unsavoury neighbourhoods under the alias of Yolande. Laetitia married Jules Toureaux in secret, but became a widow in 1934. On his deathbed, Jules confessed the scandalous union to his family, who subsequently severed ties with Laetitia following his passing. On the 16th of May 1937, at approximately 6 p.m, 29-year-old Laetitia, who was wearing a tailored green suit and wore a white hat and gloves, departed from a suburban dance hall and travelled by bus towards a metro station, the journey taking around 24 minutes. The subway station was busy, the second-class cars and the platform bustling with tourists. Stepping in, she boarded a first-class train car bound for central Paris. She was alone in the carriage. At 6:26 p.m, the train departed and about 45 seconds later arrived at Porte Dorée station. 6 travellers entered the first-class cabin and found a gruesome scene. Laetitia Toureaux fell forward in her seat, a 9-inch dagger buried deeply into her neck. Staff at the Métro were immediately informed, and policemen alongside emergency services swiftly arrived. They had intended to take her to Saint-Antoine Hospital, however Laetitia Toureaux succumbed to her injuries, never naming the assailant. Parisian police launched a murder inquiry into Miss Toureaux's death, interviewing over 800 people over the course of 12 months, including those who knew her personally, those who had been in attendance at the dance hall, passengers on the bus, and the travellers using the Métro on the day she died. Authorities were unsuccessful in finding a single witness to the crime. The murder of Laetitia Toureaux was deemed to be connected to 3 assassinations, which were found to have been executed by an extreme right terrorist organisation named the Comité Secret d'Action Révolutionnaire and popularly dubbed La Cajole. They were exposed by French police, and several of the members who were arrested claimed knowledge of Toureaux's murder. During the day, Laetitia had worked in a factory. However, by night, she was a bal musette, an occupation known to catch the attention of prostitutes, pimps, and drug dealers. Through her nighttime employment, she used her striking looks to explore many places where any others would likely be denied. Authorities also found that she was involved in espionage, employed by a detective agency, Agence Rouf, specialising in surveillance and message delivery. It was through her employer she secured work with the security division of the Parisian police, and as a result aimed to infiltrate the Cajole. During her life, she had a string of lovers, one of which, Gabriel Jeantet, who was an arms smuggler, claimed that Laetitia had been working as a double agent, employed by Benito Mussolini. However, there is no evidence to back this claim up. The Cajole became suspicious of her in the springtime of 1937, believing her to have betrayed them. They concocted a poisonous plan, leaking false news of an arms run to Toureaux, who followed the trail and found that the vehicle which stopped at the Swiss border was empty. Convinced of her deceit, the Cajole met in May 1937 and decided her fate. Although not confirmed, it is highly likely that they used their most infamous assassin, Jean Filiot, to kill Laetitia Toureaux. He fled to Spain just before the Second World War began, eventually living a rich life. The French government have sealed her case files from the public until 2038. Questions still remain. Why was Laetitia killed? Who was the person responsible? If police knew her murderer, why were there no arrests? And probably the biggest question of them all, how did the assailant carry out the attack and get away with the perfect crime? A fascinating and equally baffling locked room mystery. Theories have varied from cold-blooded murder to a crime of passion, and some even say she may have taken her own life. It is not truly known what happened on that train car and how it happened, despite likeliness that the Cajuli were somehow involved, and even after all this time, police found no clues to further the investigation, and the crime remains unsolved.